Hi, welcome back. If you're new here, hi, my name is Claire and I'm going into third year starting in September, and today's video I just want to talk about how to prepare for nursing school in the UK. If you're starting this September or if you're starting later in the year, I just want to give a few points that I wish I knew before I started 2 years ago. So let's jump right in. And I'm actually filming this on results day, so I just want to say congratulations to everyone for completing the most difficult exams of your life. So before starting, often people ask me, like, what should you research and what should you kind of look up on? And I wouldn't say there's very much things I would say you need to look up on, because once you go into university or wherever you're studying, you will learn what you need to know, if that makes sense. But if you want to be ahead of the game, then that's a great idea. So I would recommend looking up the 6 C's of nursing, and these are basically the core values that we as nurses try to abide by and live by, and I think maybe knowing what they are. So there's 6 C's, so it's care, compassion, courage. So the 6 C's are care, compassion, competencies, communication, courage and commitment. And these are basically, as I said, core values that nurses should live by and abide by and aspire to do in everyday life. So maybe if you know that before you go in, that would be a really good point. I'm going to start off with the really boring stuff, by the way, and get it out of the way. Not that the 6 C's are boring, but we've more exciting stuff to talk about later on. So I'll get the kind of educational stuff out of the way, and then I can give you lots of more fun stuff. I would also recommend reading this book, and I talk about it a lot, but it literally is my favourite book, honestly. It's called The Language of Kindness by Christy Watson, and it basically is just an incredible book. It made me laugh, it made me cry, just every single emotion. And I think it'd be something, it's not so much educational, but it is in a way, because she goes through from her very first days being qualified to the day she retired and goes through her whole career as a nurse. So it is educational in the sense that you get to find out exactly what nurses do, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything in between. And yeah, it's incredible, and I'm going to leave a link in the description so you can get a free Audible version of the book, so you can listen to it for completely free if you use the link below. So go check it out, because I honestly can't recommend it more. By the way, I'm going to leave everything I'm talking about linked in the description, so whether it be the 6 C's article, the book I mentioned, and everything else I'm going to mention later will all be in the description box below. Another thing that I would recommend looking up on, not in too much detail, but just even knowing what it is the A to E assessment. And this is the assessment guideline that we follow when we're doing our nursing assessment, from airway to exposure and everything in between. I'm going to leave the Research Council article on A to E assessment down below, because I think this is the most comprehensive guide on the A to E assessment. And even if you just know what A, B, C, D, E stands for, then you're doing well before you start in September, because they wouldn't expect you to know much more before you start, because obviously you haven't been taught anything. But just going in even with an understanding of what it is will put you a step above everyone else, I'm sure, or everyone who watches this. Okay, now we're getting on to the exciting stuff, well, the things I find exciting. And oh, there's a little boy outside the window. Hello. Oh, the mum just saw me. Cool. Anyway, moving on. So this is the exciting stuff. So this is the physical things you can buy before starting uni. And I remember finding this so exciting, being able to go out and buy, like, even stationery. I was just so excited about. So as I said, I'm going to leave everything I mention in the description box below. So I don't want to keep saying it, just know it's there. So the first thing is a student nurse handbook, and this basically goes through everything you need to know as a student nurse. And a lot of people ask what books you should buy for university, and I don't recommend any book in particular, because I think every university is different and they'll recommend their own, like, biology books and stuff, but I never bought them. But the one book I did buy was this student nurse handbook, and that basically just goes through the overall, not so much like the anatomy and physiology, but just everything you need to know from placements to lectures and stuff in it, and it's a bit more easy to understand than just buying a huge anatomy and physiology book for £90. Well, this is only £10.74, and I think it's just a student nurse handbook. Basically, you can just refer back to it for everything you want to know, basically, and it's not. And then obviously if your university recommends anatomy and physiology book or whatever book they recommend, then maybe you can buy that when the time's closer. But this is one what I recommend maybe reading before you start, but also one I refer back to constantly throughout my first year and second year as well. For university lectures and placement, I always talk about bringing a backpack. And some of you may see my bright pink Kanken backpack, which has actually now been replaced by a black version just because it's a lot more practical. So I've leave the link for that down below as well. And it's just basically just any backpack, I would say, over handbag, just because I've talked about this before, but your back, your shoulders, just everything gets so sore, especially with the books you carry, your laptop, things like that. So I definitely would recommend a backpack, whether it be the Kanken or otherwise, but my favourite is down below, and I can't recommend a backpack enough. So this might seem like a insignificant kind of essential, but at university you might find that you often end up in a coffee shop or a cafe with your friends, catching a coffee or a tea before lectures, during lectures, after lectures, and I think we're all trying to do our little bit for the environment. So I think bringing a travel cup is just a great way to save on plastic cups and lids and everything, and most places actually offer 50p off your coffee if you bring a travel mug. So I've listed my favourite down below, and yeah, it's so cute and pink and reusable and sustainable, and I love it. I also recommend stocking up, as I said, on stationery. So whether that be the 4-click pen, especially for placement, that's incredible if you want to write things in different colours, or black for your notes, or if you're signing things or in lectures. Also highlighters are a big one, notepads, anything like that. And I think Amazon is a great place just to pick up all that at once, and obviously you can get next day delivery and everything, so that's great. But yeah, definitely stationery. And I also think it makes you just feel ready to start the year. I don't know if that's just me, but I feel so organised and prepared when I have my fresh stationery ready to go. So as I mentioned, obviously the coffee cup that I was talking about, but also a water bottle is probably more important than the coffee cup, because I just think keeping hydrated, as cliche as it sounds, both on placement and in lectures and your work and everywhere, gym, everything is just so important. And definitely having a reusable bottle is so important. So I've left my one down below, which is exactly like the brand Chili's that everyone has, but it's half the price. So that's a really good one, and I've been using that for months and I love it. So before starting uni as well, a lot of you might be thinking, like, where do I go for more information and stuff? And personally, I think YouTube is a great place to check out other student nurses and just find out lots of information. And there's a few of us on here, so I'm just going to name, I have 3 favourites, and I'll leave all their details linked below as well. So go check them out if you want more informative videos and just people's different perspective, whether they be newly qualified or qualified a few years like Grace Barry. I'll leave all their details down below. So I recommend Grace Barry, Claire Carmichael, and the nurses.co.uk channel, which has a lot of different student nurses all in one place who we create videos for them, and they're all on their channel. So that way you get to see a lot of the UK student nurses in one place. Instead of me recommending loads and loads, I'm just going to recommend that place, Claire Carmichael and Grace Barry, as people you definitely should subscribe to and check out as well. So I hope this covered a few things you should maybe do or read or see before you start nursing in September. And I'm actually filming this on results day, so I just want to say congratulations to everyone for completing the most difficult exams of your life, and hope that you've got the university you want and that you're all set and ready. And if you haven't, or if you are really sad about it, then don't worry, because everything works out. I did not get the grades I needed for nursing, but there's always back routes to everything, so don't worry. And I just want to wish everyone good luck starting in September. And if you have any questions at all, just leave them down below and I'll get back to every single one. Thank you. Bye.